Hello, everyone. We are live here on LinkedIn. Happy Friday, and thank you for taking the time to tune in. I'm broadcasting today from beautiful downtown Covington, Kentucky. Great to have you with us, and I love this topic that we're going to be talking about today. If you want to put comments in the contest column, you can. There's a bit of a delay between the time you type your comment or question. Feel free to ask questions throughout. There's a little bit of a delay from the time you make a comment or ask a question. So just be aware of that. I'm going to keep one eye on the questions as we go along. I'm also going to stay at the end to do a little bit more answering questions if anyone has questions at the end. Today, we're going to be talking about advanced CRM strategies. And in a second, I'll tell you what I mean by advanced CRM strategies. But first, let me just tell you that I am broadcasting using Streamyard. And if you have an interest in using LinkedIn Live or live broadcasting, I highly recommend Streamyard. I'm using it right now. And I would love it if you used my affiliate link to get you started. So if you ever have any questions about how to go live on LinkedIn, I am happy to answer those questions. While we're waiting for just a few minutes for people to gather, if you're currently using a CRM system, I would love to know in the comments, which CRM system are you using? That would be interesting to know. So just type that into the comments. I love CRM. I'm telling you, it's almost like an obsession. I've always loved CRM ever since I heard about it and heard about what it can do. And it's probably because of the way I sell. I've always been the type of salesperson who doesn't really focus on features and benefits of the product. I'm not interested in how great a presentation I can make or how much I know about wine and spirits or overcoming objections. I've always been a relationship seller. I want to prove my value to the account and to the buyer that when they purchase from me, they get a whole lot more than just great products at a great price. They're going to get help with their business, whether it's selling more product or reducing inventory or reaching new customers. I want to be that type of salesperson. So if your focus as a salesperson is on building customer relationships, then CRM is for you. If you're more of a transactional kind of a salesperson who likes to focus on the product itself and talk about the features and benefits, you might struggle to see any value in CRM, that's for sure. So we've got a couple people weighing in with some comments. Hey, Veronica, she's using Grapevines. Awesome. Hey, David. So as you're joining, if you want to pop in the comments what CRM system you're using, that will help me because maybe I can steer the conversation in that direction. When I first started using CRM, when I got started my own business, and I was obsessed with Salesforce.com. I spent a fortune and a lot of time learning how to not just use Salesforce.com, but to go into the back end and customize it. And I did it for my own business. And then for many years, I did it for other people's businesses too. Then I discovered Grapevines, which was built on the Salesforce platform. So I instantly became in love with that tool. Still am in love with that tool because I'm a Salesforce guy. Years later, I learned about other industry-specific CRM systems like Karma from VIP, which many of my clients use. And I quickly realized I needed to become well-versed in a number of different CRM systems if I was going to truly help my clients. So I'm a big fan of all CRMs, but most of my experiences with Salesforce, VIP, HubSpot, and Vino Smith. I'm a fan of all of these systems. And today I'm going to talk about, the advanced features. And let me just go to what I mean by advanced by talking about what I mean by the basics first. So this is what I'm not necessarily going to get into today. I consider the basics just like helping people understand what CRM is, what it's for, and how to use it. I'm assuming that you're already there and you're showing up for my advanced stuff, which I'm going to get to in a second. Also, when I first start working with someone on CRM, I have to help them understand the distinction between customer relationship management as a software and a disciplined process and just your sales analytics, your depletion reporting. Some people think that their depletion reporting, interface, that's what CRM is. It's part of CRM for sure, but that is not really what CRM is all about. Tracking the customer journey and where you are with your customers and building the relationships that you'll need to make sales. I'm going to talk quite a bit about the customer journey today because I really see that as an important place to take your CRM skills to new levels. And then, just some basic KPIs for, how many accounts are purchasing, how many SKUs are they purchasing, what's their level of depletions per account. These types of things are fairly basic. Today, I'm going to get into some more advanced stuff. I want to share these 3 little memes with you. This one on the left always cracks me up. People say, oh yeah, I already use CRM. It doesn't help me sell anymore. Why? And I think to myself, well, you're using it wrong. You really don't understand what it's for then if you tell me that you're using it and it's not helping you sell. And this is a good place to mention CRM. It's not for your bosses or for your company. Oh, well, they'll get some benefit from it. CRM is for the salesperson to sell more product. That's what it's all about. So if you're not selling more by using CRM, then you're doing it wrong. Straight up. This is another comment. If CRM is designed to help salespeople, why is it so hard to use? Oh, I'm going to hide that little bar there. Why is it so hard to use? Let me make this screen bigger too. Well, it is hard to use, but like a lot of things, once you learn how to do it, it's not hard at all. In fact, you can do most everything you need to do with your CRM from your cell phone. So it's not much more complicated than that. And a lot of people tend to think that CRM it's for my boss's benefit so they can make sure I'm working and they can keep track of what I'm doing. While you certainly can get those features out of it, that's not what it's for. That's not why CRM is created. CRM is created so that smart salespeople can sell a lot more product. And so that's what I want to talk about today, is getting into some more of the advanced features that are going to help you sell more. So if you're just joining us, put into the comments what CRM system you are using. Thank you, David and Bryce and Veronica, for putting your comments in there. That's really helpful. Let's jump in with the meat of today's discussion. So these are what I would consider advanced CRM strategies. Few people do all these really well. Few people really understand how these things fit in to the world of CRM. So we're going to go through all 5 of these today. The customer journey. We're going to talk about objects, records, and data, and how you can take those things to new levels in your CRM system. We'll talk about the opportunity pipeline, and for you HubSpot users, they're known as deals in the HubSpot vernacular. We'll talk about interactions, which are not just a way of your boss keeping track of what you're doing. This is the essence, the reason for using CRM is to have everything you've ever said or done with the customer all in one place at the touch of a button, so that the next time you interact with them, you don't waste time covering stuff you've already covered or asking questions you already should know the answer to. And then lastly, I want to share some advanced KPIs, and I'm hoping that a few of these advanced KPIs are not already on your radar screen, because if you put them on your radar, you'll be able to see how to take sales to the next level. So let's dive into each of these 5 things one at a time. And this is being recorded, by the way, so you'll have access to the recording if you want to share it with other people at your company. So let's talk the customer journey, because I really think there's a great separation between salespeople. I think you could take the whole wine and spirits industry and you could put most salespeople into one of 2 piles. And I already sort of mentioned this earlier in the broadcast. There are those that are very transaction focused, very product focused, very features and benefits focused. They believe more sales calls equals more sales. And if you just get really good and knowledgeable about the product and explaining the product, you'll make more sales. CRM is going to be kind of a waste of time for people who sell that way. By the way, that type of transactional selling went out of fashion in the 1950s. But it's shocking in our industry how many people still sell that way. Oh, you'll get your chance to talk about the product all in good time once you've earned the right to collaborate with the client. For professional salespeople, though, the customer journey is what it's all about. The sale should be a byproduct of a much larger relationship. And that's why respecting the customer journey is so important. So let's break this down. First, you have finding and attracting potential clients. This is research, doing your homework. Where's all the business being done? Where are the 20% of the accounts that are driving 80% of the business? This takes a lot of research. And as you do the research, you should be recording your findings in your CRM system. You should be designating which of those accounts are your preferred targets. If you aim for everything, you'll hit nothing. So the first step in the customer journey is understanding who are my best potential customers, where do I find them, and how do I attract them? That's the very beginning of the customer journey. After that, it's about research and preparing to interact. It done properly, there should be quite a bit of time spent researching the account, the cast of characters, all of that stuff. Then comes the building rapport part. You're not really ready to meet with anyone and build rapport until you've done those first few steps. But when you're ready to start building rapport and build trust by adding value, you have to recognize this might take 4 to 10, sometimes 11 or 12 touches. Most salespeople are extremely impatient. In fact, the idea that you would sit down in front of a customer that you've never met, that you have no relationship with, cold, and pitching products, I mean, it's so offensive to me that anyone would sell like that, but it happens all the time. That is not real selling, and you won't sell a lot if you do it that way. And anything you do sell by selling that way is a temporary placement, and it's not there for the long term. The stickability is very low. So be patient and recognize it may take 4, 5, 6 touches before you're ready to present something. Most presentations are made way too early in the process to the wrong people. And it's just dumb. It's better to build that rapport and build trust. The opportunity to convert them into paying customers will come all in good time. I hope this is making sense. When it comes time to convert them to a paying customer, the sale should be a byproduct of the relationship that you've been building. So you see how this is coming together? Customer relationship management respects the customer's journey, is patient along the process, and you are documenting everything, every step of the way. That's how you get the big fish. That's how you land major accounts. You're patient and you're very calculated. And the CRM system is there to support you in doing this. And the last step is building loyalty and repeat customers. You know, salespeople, they like to eat what they kill. They are hunters and not skinners so much. The thrill is in the hunt. And so it's not so fun and sexy to provide service after the sale. And so as a result, a lot of salespeople, they're just on to the next big conquest. And they forget that the best way to sell more product is to the customers who are already buying from you. So your CRM system can really aid you in taking that last step and doing a rinse and repeat process to get them to A, keep using the products you've sold to them, and B, sell them additional products. And you see my big red arrow on the screen here. Flawless follow-up at every step of the journey is key. And I don't know how you could possibly do flawless follow-up without using a CRM system. So I hope you're already beginning to see that CRM is there to help the seller build a better relationship with buyers so that you end up selling more and their business is better off for it. So if you're with me and you agree, then you want to know how to master CRM. So let's talk about that next. Let's talk about objects, records, and data. So objects are the major buckets, if you will, of a CRM system, like your contacts or your list of companies. In some CRM systems are called accounts. Opportunities are a special object that is managed in its own process. In HubSpot, these are called deals. In other CRM systems, they might be called something like that, or maybe pipeline. Interactions are an object unto itself that needs to be set up and managed properly. And then finally, you have tasks, which is how you execute that flawless follow-up by making notes of what needs to be done next. What are the next steps? Who owns that step? And when is it due? Records are the complete collection of all the data around that. So, for example, contacts, your list of contacts is the object. A person inside your contacts and all their related information, like their title, their email address, their cell phone number, where they used to work, all those details, that collectively is known as a record. And so the completeness of your record, the accuracy of your record, those are considered advanced steps for most people, because I promise you, if I went in and looked at your CRM system now and just started poking around, I would probably find a lot of incomplete and inaccurate information. So you're not really using CRM at an advanced level. What you're doing is the minimum required, the minimum to get by. The data has to do with other pieces of related data, which could include depletion data for that account, or information about buyers and contacts and accounts. How many cases is this account capable of? What's the potential for this account? So this is what I mean by objects, records, and data. Now I'd like to go through each of these to show you what the advanced level looks like for these things. So let's talk about contacts first. This is all about details. The devil's in the details. You want a lot of details. You know, the key to building personal relationships is the details. If you haven't read Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, if you haven't read it at all, you definitely need to read it. If you haven't read it in a while and you're serious about CRM, you need to reread it. It was written in 1936, but it's still as valid as it is today. People interacting with people is the name of the game. And if you want to really win over a lot of people and get them to buy your stuff, then you need to be a master of the details, a master of asking questions, listening, truly listening to the answers with great interest and empathy, and then writing down all those details so that you can have them for later. The more details you know about a person, the deeper the relationship can be. I've been married 34 years. I know a lot about the person I'm married to, and that, it deepens the relationship. It's the same with buyers and sellers. So don't skimp on the details if you want to go to advanced use of CRM. And accuracy. A lot of people don't even know the buyer's last name, let alone how to spell it. And some don't know how to pronounce it. Do you know that you can go into your CRM system, put in a custom field with a phonetic spelling? Smart salespeople do this because they don't want to have to commit that to their memory. They want to know how to pronounce the person's last name properly, so they put in the phonetic spelling. This is the kind of detail I'm talking about. And speaking of custom fields, this is what I mean by advanced CRM. Take your off-the-shelf system and customize it. If you have to upgrade your version of it, then by all means do. It will be worth every penny. But things that I like to keep track of in my CRM system are what is that person's preferences? If they're a wine buyer, what influences them? Are they old world, new world? Do they start their foundational knowledge in France, like a lot of us old timers did? You want to know these things. What are their influencers? What are they reading? Who's their gurus? Who's their mentors? All of this should be captured in your CRM system. Where did they used to work? Where did they work before that? How long did they work at each of these locations? What's their career journey? It's great that all that's available on LinkedIn, but it ought to be put into the CRM system so that as you're getting ready to go in and make an interaction with that person, you can review all those details and refresh your mind. Maybe they speak foreign languages. Maybe they're left-handed. Maybe they have hobbies that they're super passionate about. To not write these details down, and by write, I mean record them on your phone in your CRM, it seems a little bit irresponsible to me if you call yourself a professional salesperson. I also want to know about their connections. Who do they know that I know? Where do they used to work? Who's their boss now? There's all kinds of things that will give you clues to build a strong relationship with this person. I could stop the broadcast now and just camp out on this one issue of mastering the details and documenting details of the people that you want to sell to. It is the game changer. It's the most important thing you can do with your CRM system. But I want to press on to other stuff. But let me just tell you, this is not something to skip over lightly. This is not something to do just the minimum for, just because your boss is insisting on it. And by the way, in case I forget to say this, and I'll say it again later in case people join late, but if you want to hire salespeople who use your CRM system, then make sure that's a requirement when you're interviewing them. Make sure that you are 100%, that they are 100% committed and you're 100% sure of their commitment, that they're going to use the CRM system. Otherwise, don't hire them because they're really not going to be a great salesperson if they're not committed to using the ultimate tool for building relationships and selling product. It's something you need to be very, very serious about. You can't take a mediocre salesperson and train them to be a great salesperson. You have to hire great salespeople. So let's talk about the records inside the company object, also known as the account object in a lot of systems like Salesforce. It's all about the cast of characters. There's rarely one decision involved in the buying process. And the bigger you go with the account, the more key and important the account is, like a regional chain or a national chain, you have lots of different people that you need to be keeping track of, not just one person. I don't have this statistic, but I just know from doing it for so many years. Most salespeople have one person listed as a contact for each company. So they're just not getting it. There's a whole cast of characters. You need to first identify them. What's their first name, last name, title? Get them into the CRM system. I don't know how to explain this, but the more of the cast of characters you build out in the company record, the account record, magical things just start to happen. I don't know how to explain it, but the more people you know, the more opportunities there are that just arise in the course of doing business. Once again, don't spare the details. What kind of account is it? Do they do Sunday brunch? Do they have late night? Do they do happy hour? Do they have private dining? Do they have outdoor seating? You want to know as much as you can about that account. Are they open for lunch and dinner? Do they have a captain's list? Do they have a bottle program? Do they have wine lockers? There's so many details that you need to collect on the about the account. And you want to record them because you want to be able to just pull them up at the flick of a button to get that information. So don't spare the details. Be as accurate as you possibly can. One of the most essential things to have in the company record is their web address. Now, there are a lot of businesses that are alike or sound alike, and you don't want to have to be fumbling around with a Google search to visit their website, only to find out you got the wrong website. So when you create a brand new record for an account or a company, make the first thing you do the accurate URL, put the website in there. This makes your life so much easier later. You only ever have to do it one time. Now, some of the custom fields you might want to consider here are is it a key account? Is it part of our 80-20 list? The 20% of the accounts that drive 80% of the business. All you need to do is add in a checkbox, and you check that box, and then later you can report on sales activity and progress for just the key accounts. This is absolutely essential. Any other types that you want, on-premise, off-premise, chain, independent, you can customize all of this. Another customized field that's nice to add is the value or the potential. How many cases a month is this account worth? Even in the old days, before computers and cell phones, we used something called HVMV, high volume, medium volume. That was the only way we knew where the fish are. Well, the modern equivalent of that is understanding how many cases an account is capable of, and that's based very much on the level of foot traffic they get. The busier the operation, the more they're going to sell. Take a package store, for example. If they have a heavy e-commerce component, that package store, they're going to sell a lot more than the average package store. Put that stuff into your CRM. You don't want to be fumbling around for it later. And this is a good field to put in. This account is targeted for this type of product or this brand. Put that into your CRM system. If you don't know how to customize this, and usually only admins of the system can do it, you want to demand that somebody set it up for you because it makes a huge difference. Okay, let's move on to opportunities. To me, this is really where the rubber meets the road with the CRM, keeping track of the opportunities and moving them through the opportunity pipeline. This is exciting stuff. And this is where those of you who think you're only doing it because your boss requires, you're missing all the fun, because tracking opportunities with your CRM system is incredibly satisfying. In the opportunities, you have to respect the stage. And in a minute, I'm going to show you some typical stages. Oh, in fact, right here in the yellow text, those are in order of a very classic pipeline stage. But I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's stretched out on a timeline. The Kanban view, which I'm going to show you in a minute, is the best way to view your opportunities all in one screen, where you can see where each account is in the opportunity pipeline. And what you need to do to move them from one stage of the pipeline to the next is a big part of what we call working the pipeline. You can't do this without a CRM. I guess you could if you had Post-it notes, but that's not very mobile. You can't really take a big whiteboard of Post-it notes around in the car with you or on the plane with you. This stages of the pipeline are called stages of opportunity stages are referred to collectively as the pipeline. So you start with a lead, somebody that's on your radar, then they become qualified. When they're qualified, now you're ready to do the research and make contact. Once initial contact has been made and you've documented all the details of that contact, you can begin to better define their needs. That's the next stage in the pipeline. Then some kind of proposal or pitch is made. You see how late that comes in the process? It doesn't come in the first meeting. It comes much later, and for good reason, because your conversions rate, your closing rate will be much better. Then it's either closed won or closed lost, and sometimes it's put in suspend for later. If you don't know how to set up this opportunity pipeline, or your software isn't capable of that, you might want to get a little bit of help. And so feel free to reach out if that's something I can advise you on. So let's take a look at this. So this idea, you can see my note here that where it says Kanban View. This is what a Kanban View is. It comes from the high-tech world. It's an agile project management tool where you take a Post-it note for a particular to-do, and it starts out in the to-do pile. When work begins, you pick up the Post-it note and move it into the in-progress list or stage. When it's ready for testing, you put it in the testing stage. Keep in mind, this is from the high-tech world. And when it's finished, it goes into the done stage. So each little Post-it note moves across the Kanban. Now, almost all modern CRM tools have these capabilities, and they have different views. And the Kanban view is one of the more popular. It comes from the Japanese word for visual signal. It helps make it visible where everything is, not just you, but anyone else that has an interest, your marketing team, your new product development team, and yes, of course, your boss. Let's look at a couple more examples. This is from the sales CRM tool called Pipedrive. You see they have 5 stages set up. They've got their lead stage, their contact made stage, needs defined, proposal made, and negotiation started. And you can see that each account or each deal is listed separately. And in the software, you just touch your mouse to one of those little cards and you can move it to the next board over. So it provides an instant at a glance look at what's in the pipeline. Now, I want you to notice something else about this chart. At the top, right under the title, it has a dollar amount and how many deals are in the list. So in this particular case, in the lead-in phase, there's 28 deals worth $715,000. In the contact made, there's 11 deals that are in that stage, and they're worth $260,000. Knowing where your deals are and what their value is allows you to forecast properly. If working for publicly traded companies, I can tell you when it gets to be the end of the quarter, people want to see deals get closed. And so if you have that pressure come onto you to ship a bunch of product or get some depletions going, it really helps to know where those opportunities are that are ready to close. So the Kanban view is really good for this. Again, this is advanced stuff, and if you don't have it set up or you need help setting it up, I'm your man. We will show you how to do this. So the next step here, or the next thing here, is interactions. And for a lot of salespeople, they only do it because they're told to do it or being asked to do it. What fools, what utter fools. Because if you want to sell a lot of product, you should be taking very close notes on every interaction, recording it in your CRM system, not in a spiral notebook, not in a legal pad, not on the back of a cocktail napkin. If you do it that way, that's fine. Just transfer it to CRM as soon as you can. All of the interactions you've ever had with a client should be in one place, listed in reverse chronological order, so that you can review them. This is just smart, professional selling. Once again, more details the better. These four statements in white ink at the bottom are key. Who did you talk to? What did you talk about? And what are the next steps? If you were to add a fourth one, it would be, when is that next step do, that would be a good one to add. But it's all about the who, what, when, and how of that interaction. And, what was presented? What did you taste with them? These are great, great records to keep track of. And this is a place where you put in reminders. You don't trust anything to your memory. Put a reminder in. Here's the next step. Set a due date on the next step. You will automatically get an alert. These alerts are what helps you provide flawless follow-up. And then the last thing here about objects, directions, and data is the tasks. Who owns that task? Who's in charge of making sure that next step gets done? This is so essential when you want to have flawless follow-up, because there's a direct proportion to how much you sell and how well you keep your promises with your buyers. So I hope that was helpful going through this. Why do I consider this advanced and not basic? Because most people just aren't doing it. And that's good news for you, because if you sell in an advanced way like this, you're going to outsell all of your competitors. So let's just touch briefly on advanced KPIs, because this is a fact. Salespeople don't always act in the best interest of the company. They often don't even act in their own best interest. And I think you understand this. Salespeople they love the hunt. It's the thrill of the hunt that gets them out of bed. They don't care if there's a customer out there not using your product, they want to go after it. Well, this is not a very disciplined approach. Salespeople, like professional athletes, they need a coach. They need someone to keep them on task. And that task is focusing on the most important customers. Because look at my second point here. If you take nothing else away from my talk today, tattoo this to your brain. The key to accelerating sales is to narrow your focus of sales activity to only the most attractive accounts. You literally have to ignore most accounts because they aren't going to get you to the promised land. You want to double your sales in the next 2 to 3 years, and I am not exaggerating. Then narrow your focus to the accounts that are really going to make a difference, that are really going to move the needle. And avoid low value activity as if your life depended on it. But it's the sales leader's job to help the team do that, because left on their own, salespeople are just going to go sell. They don't always make a distinction between the important accounts and just something that they can go out and close right away, because that's where the thrill is. So one other thing before I go to the actual KPIs, this comes right out of the Complete Guide to Accelerating Salesforce Performance from the Kellogg School of Business at Northwestern. If you've ever read anything of mine or watched in my videos, you've probably seen this many times. I'm going to keep showing it until they pat me in the face with a shovel. It's the most important thing you need to know as a salesperson and as a sales leader. If you take any market in the country, it doesn't matter where it is, in the world for that matter, and you divide the accounts into 10 piles, the top 10% of the accounts are going to drive 25% of the business, roughly. The next 10% are going to drive another 17. You can see by my red oval, most of the business is done in 20% to 30% of the accounts. But look at the blue bars. That represents the typical salesperson's effort, which is spread out across the entire account base, because they're thinking there's an account out there, doesn't have a product, I must go close them. But look what happens. You reach a point of diminishing returns. The accounts on that end of the tail, the long tail, are just never going to deliver the big number. So smart salespeople stay focused on the left side of the chart. So let's talk about what you would measure when you get there. I've got 3 buckets for you here, and I am nearing the end of my little presentation. So if you have questions or comments, start putting them in the comments now, because there's a 20-second delay, and I am going to do Q&A here at the end. So get your questions in line. So there's 3 buckets of advanced KPIs. You all know about pod, accounts sold, depletions, shipments, right? What about pod against target accounts? Your CRM system needs to be able to identify the key accounts and then isolate your reporting, both on the sales activity and the actual results. Isolate. Show me how we're doing only in the accounts that I've designated as a key account. That is an important metric. And what is my win rate? For every 100 customers that I have designated as a key account and that I have in my opportunity pipeline, how many of them do I close? This can be tracked in a CRM system. And the average deal value. I would hate to hazard a guess how many or how few wine and spirits companies using CRM are putting deal values into their system, which is just so important for forecasting. So if you're not doing that, consider that advanced KPI as something you want to start doing. The next set has to do with quality of distribution. Not all accounts are equal, not even close. So you've got to be able to measure the quality of the distribution you have, not just the number. I hate the metric account sold because it assumes that all accounts are of equal value, and they certainly are not. Velocity is one of the ways you can tell one account is more valuable than the other. The sales per point of distribution should be tracked closely. And is that a number that's continually moving up? Retention is something you need to be measuring too. Now, it takes a little bit of configuring to set this up, but it's so worth it. What is the average length of time that a customer uses a product that has been placed? Obviously, someone that uses it on, maybe they buy 9 or 10 times over a 12-month period of time, that is a good level of retention. You need to have alerts set up that show you when something is at risk of being lost. Now, that's really advanced, and not all the CRM systems can do it, but some can, and it's something you need to be paying attention to. Measuring retention and at-risk business is so essential. And CRM systems are only going to get smarter and smarter and smarter. If you look at how far HubSpot has come in just the last 3 years, they're going deep into AI, and the things that they can do that are automated is just astounding. I'm just in awe of HubSpot, and I used to dislike them. So you have to be aware that this is evolving. Okay, I lost track there. So the third bucket is continuous improvement. You want your sales team to always be improving. You want your business to be growing all the time. Growth is the most important thing for a sales organization. So you need to be measuring the drop off by deal stage. So you might find, for example, that we have trouble getting accounts past this stage of the pipeline. And then you can study why that is. It could be, continuous out of stock problems. It could be your pricing is not consistent, or you're not delivering goods at the price you quoted. There could be any number of reasons why somebody would drop off the pipeline. You need to have a way to track that. And the last thing is, some accounts just stay stuck in the pipeline. Why are they stuck? You need to have that conversation because it's the unsaid stuff that gets you. So I realize I went very quickly covering a lot of this stuff. I hope it's feeling advanced to you. I promised them advanced CRM training. I'm hoping this is stretching your thinking and your imagination and challenging you to go to new levels. If you want more, and this is the tip of the iceberg, what I know about CRM is a deep, deep well. I am an expert in CRM for sales with wine and spirits. And I don't say that to brag. I say it because I've put in the hours year after year. This is a topic that I am an expert in. So if you want more of this type of training, I want to invite you to get on the wait list for the Wine Sales Stimulator. This is my newest membership training program. It kind of combines consulting and online learning into one program. CRM is one of 12 total topics covered in the course, the program. And I want you to get on the wait list. Just go to winecellstimulator.com, fill out this form, and you will be on the wait list. So I don't see any questions coming in on the comments. If you got one, put it in soon, because if there aren't any questions, I'm going to be shutting things down. So here's a look at the 12 classrooms plus the orientation and recordings that are in the Wine Sales Stimulator. The two that are germane to today's conversation are the CRM classroom and then the one on the modern sales approach. If you click on one of those buttons, it opens up an entire library of training videos, documents, examples, case studies, templates. It's pretty mind-blowing. And then we have weekly live coaching calls every week. We have a sales operations call on Wednesday, a CEO strategy call led by me personally, and then our digital marketing and advertising call led by my son, Dan. And we've got our act together. We can really help people with this. I still see no questions coming in, so that's fine. If you're still with me, you feel free to, I think you can come back to the recording and post your questions. I'll be watching for that and I will respond. And once again, if you want to practice LinkedIn Live on your own, I highly suggest Streamyard. Use my affiliate link. I think that's it. That's the end of our presentation. Looks like we have no questions. I want to thank you all for showing up. I hope this was useful to you. We've recorded it, so if you want to watch it again or share it with colleagues, you'll just come right back here to my profile on LinkedIn and you'll see the recording. Thank you all. Have a great weekend.